Episodes of Your Trades on Easy Now. This is Priyanka Uppal and along with me, Snehi. We did saw a gap down opening, but then the market, all dips were bought, and in fact, we've closed at the highest point of the day, in fact, with the gains only. 23,500, that's the level above which Nifty has closed, and Bank Nifty has closed above 51,700. Pockets of consumption, FMCG, they were at the play today majorly. Broader markets, small and mid-cap stocks were in focus today because a market regulator was investigating allegations of front-running on a well-known, well-renowned MF, but this space also did well today. They closed with gains of nearly 0.5% today. Standout gainers clearly was from capital goods space, rural theme stocks, chemical and fertilizer pack. I think this space has been in buzz. This space has been buzzing ever since we've been talking about, ever since in fact the new government has been made. 14th June precisely, we've seen many stocks that have gained more than 20-25%, and yet this space was again buzzing today, of course, because of the GST exemption on fertilizer product, which has been referred to group of ministers now. But the other pack of stocks which were gaining, reality stocks, reality ancillary, construction, building material, all stocks were gaining today. More or less, it was a consumption and a rural theme play which was playing out today. So.
Absolutely, lots of stocks to watch out for also, like you said, and like Priyanka mentioned, poor opening, but after PM Modi spoke at the 18th Lok Sabha session is when we actually did see the market recovering. Couple more buzzers I want to flag off right now. Root Mobile, that stock did pretty well on the back of the WhatsApp ticketing system that they have introduced for metros. On the flip side, you had gaming stocks like Delta Corp and Nazara. Still some uncertainty over gaming and the GST ambit. So 4% and 2% is where Delta and Nazara each were. Ujjivan Small Finance Bank reduced its guidance, was 5% lower. Lots is happening on that front as well. And the FinMin has also submitted comments on the RBI draft project norms. Now, this is an exclusive story that our colleague Prakash filed earlier today, and we'll get you more details on what's been happening on that front as well. But well, yes, lots and lots of stocks to watch out for, lots of stock specific strategies, lots of fundraising that was seen, order wins that were seen in the market today. Garden Reach, RVNL, RPP Infra, that stock was up as much as 18% in today's trading session. Lots and lots of buzzers today, but to understand today's setup, the move we saw today, especially coming in VIX 6% higher. VIX has started spiking again, so that's a little cautionary term coming over there. But to understand more about how we go ahead from here, let me bring on board our guest for today. That's Mileen Vasudeo, Senior Technical Analyst at Arihant Capital Markets. Mileen, hi, and thanks so much for taking the time out and joining us. Help us understand the range-bound move that we've seen today. We've seen some exuberance in one pocket of the market. The other pocket has been largely lagging, which means overall we've seen a rather flattish trade coming in today. What are the levels that you are spotting out for Nifty as well as Nifty Bank in the sessions ahead, and also what's leading to this spike up in VIX today?
Good afternoon. If you see on the daily chart of Nifty, now Nifty today is the 10 trading session. We are seeing a range bound activity. We are seeing narrow range body formation on the daily chart. However, we are getting a close above the 10-day moving average line. The 10-day moving average line is somewhere around 23,439 level. So clearly, yes, the undertone still remains positive in the market. Now for Nifty, if going forward, crucial level of resistance is now 23,580. Now in tomorrow's trading session, if we hold the levels of say 23,480 levels, and if we manage to cross the levels of 23,580 in the first hour of the trading session, then yes, you could see that Nifty would head higher. So we are positive on Nifty, and we are working out with the levels of 23,700 to 23,800 levels in couple of days time. Now coming to even Bank Nifty, if you see Bank Nifty also is outperforming Nifty, clearly showing strength. Now again, Bank Nifty has good support at 51,600, 51,580 levels. Now again, Bank Nifty again has got a resistance somewhere around 51,830 levels. Now in tomorrow's trading session, if we manage to cross that level, then again we are heading towards say 59,900 and 5200 levels. So we are positive both on Nifty and as well as Bank Nifty.
Mileen, just to reiterate and just to seek more clarity, what you're saying is that there was some sign of exhaustion which you could see on Friday that has been put to rest. And what would be your picks from here?
See, definitely looking at the current price action, if you see on Nifty, it opened down, then again it showed a good amount of recovery in the latter half of the session. That gives an impression, yes, that Nifty and Bank Nifty is likely to head higher. Now, coming to the stock-specific action, yes, two stocks we are going to recommend today. One is United Spirit, which has gone up with little bit high volumes than the previous day. Currently trading at 1200 and somewhere around 1275. One can keep a stop loss of 1250. The target would be 1340 and 1365. The second stock is PI Industry, which is currently trading somewhere around 3797 levels or 3800 levels. One can keep a stop loss of 3700 levels, and on the higher side, we expect the stock to test 4000 to 4100 levels in couple of weeks' time.
So, United Spirits and PI Industries is what you're flagging off for our viewers. Thanks so much for taking the time out and joining us with your advice as well as technical picks. On that note, we'll let him go. But let's slip into the word from the wise segment. And today that happens to be Nilesh Shah, the MD at Kotak AMC. He believes that a good entry point for IT and chemicals is coming up in the near future. Listen in to his take on some of the other sectors in the market and what he's liking the most at the moment.
In terms of pharma, we still remain selective on a portfolio basis. We think there are medical shortages in US and there will be pressure on distribution companies to pay slightly higher prices and secure supply. US FDA action also probably will be driven by the fact that they are facing some medical shortages and they would like to restock the supply. Both these things will be positive for FMCG and pharma company. On IT, we want to wait and watch. Last time also I said we need to see if the appointment letters which they have issued is getting converted into real appointment in the office campus or not. As of today, it is still not visible. Valuations have factored in many uncertainty, but we need some catalyst from a growth point of view. Chemical sector is also poised like IT. We have to wait and watch because Chinese dumping still remains relentless. It does impact profitability and margin of Indian companies. They have large capacity which remains unutilized. At some point of time, Chinese dumping should come to an end. Indian companies also will become more cost competitive by improving processes or cutting expenditures. And over a period of time between IT and chemical, we will get good entry point. So both those sectors are right now under wait and watch.
All right, so IT and chemical, both sectors are in wait and watch mode. That's what Nilesh Shah has to say. But then let's go forward and let's understand what Vishal Manchanda on pharma has to say. Vishal Manchanda, Senior VP, Institutional Research for Systematic Group. He sees value in the complex generic business and also shares his top picks from the pharma space. Let's listen in.
Fundamentally, I think the value in the pharma sector lies in innovation. Generics probably is matured now in terms of at least in the developed markets, the generic opportunity is matured. There is a potential of pricing getting favorable in the developed markets, but nothing in sight as of now because supplies remain intact. Supplies don't move out and competition is also not moving out in terms of and there is some value in the complex generic space, but not very significant to drive stock prices meaningfully from where they are today. So I think innovation is where we should look for. Like antibiotic innovation is happening in India. Companies like Sun Pharma, they have cash and they have a platform to build innovation. So I think these are themes to watch out in the pharma space. We have a hold on most of the larger names in the space, while we have a buy on Jubilant Pharmova, which is about a 12,000 crore, 11,000 crore market cap company. So we see a turnaround in Jubilant Pharmova. The other names we have a buy on are Krishna Diagnostic and Sasta Sundar Ventures.
All right, that's the word coming in from Vishal Manchanda of the Systematics Group on where he's seeing value amid the pharma space. But viewers, we'll slip into a very short break on this edition of Your Trades. We'll be right back about more on the trading session that went by. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Now action from derivative space. VIX did spike today. We're at above 14 levels now. But then the active calls where we could see the action shifting to could be 23,600 or 23,700. However, that is also the highest call writing strike also. But the mid call buying, which we could see was at 23,600. So gives us another reason that maybe we are up for another up move from here on the current levels to 23,600. But the base now, which was 23,400, because maximum of the put writing happened here, now 23,500 also adds a strong support for the index to perform now. So 23,400, 500, that happens to be the strong base, and maybe we could see the action shifting to 23,600 now.
Absolutely. So very key levels to watch out for. Thanks, Priyanka, for taking us through that. Let's also take a look at the big story of the day, and let's talk about a stock that was down and out in today's trading session. And I am talking about Ujjivan Small Finance Bank. Cuts of more than 5% just in today's trading session. Now, Ujjivan Small Finance Bank was in focus rather after it reduced its FY25 guidance across several parameters, including loan book growth and ROE, while credit costs are expected to rise for the year. However, the bank said that it was confident of robust asset quality and improving asset mix. So, what really haunted the stock today and what really ailed it in today's trading session? Gaurav gets us all the details.
Well, yes, Ujjivan Small Finance Bank was in focus, and the reason being that the bank has actually reduced its target for FY25. So they have reduced their loan book growth target from 25% to 20% in FY25. Apart from that, for credit costs, they were expecting this to remain around 1.5%, which has now been increased to 1.7% for FY25. And lastly, as a result, if you look at ROE, earlier they were expecting ROE to be remain around 22%, but now they're expecting it to be around 20%. And the main reason being that they are seeing some stress building up in the MFI segment. What they believe is that in the last 2-3 weeks, they have actually done some kind of analysis and they have seen deterioration in MFI segment. They are expecting this to improve into second half of FY25, but for now, they are seeing some stress building up. Apart from that, on a positive note, they have given some positive guidelines as well. For FY25, they are going to improve their asset quality by increasing their securitized book to around 35%, and by FY26, this book will be increased to 40%. They are also going to enhance into high yield products like gold loan, vehicle finance, micro mortgage. They are also going to emerge as top 3 preferred lenders when we talk about vehicle finance in operating markets. And if you look at some of the other updates, now Mr. Sanjeev Nutyal will take as MD and CEO from July 1st. On universal banking, now management believes that this is one of the banks which meets the criteria from RBI, and they are taking steps forward to go towards universal banking. And lastly, we have already seen this bank performing well. We have seen this bank crossing around 30,000 crores of loan book, 31,000 crores of deposits. And if you look at ROE also, the bank reported for FY24 ROE of around 26%, but given that they have now cut down the targets for FY25, that is the reason why we saw a negative reaction coming up in the stock price. So definitely watching out on what happens in Ujjivan Small Finance Bank from here on.
All right. Thanks very much, Gaurav, for all those details. And stock did react to this news, clearly 5% down. But the other space was MFI space. In fact, the microfinance industry, the way it can be under pressure on because of the populist measure. We've seen how Telangana has taken a step, of course. Now the ballpoint is also shifting to Jharkhand. Right. What is that you're picking out of the entire space since you covered MFI space?
Absolutely. So, well, microfinance institutes were in focus today, and negative moves coming in across some major lenders. The names like Credit Access, Grameen, you have Spandana Spurti, you have 5-Star Business. All three of these microfinance institutes majorly, they lend towards areas like Telangana, Jharkhand as well as Maharashtra, and we'll get to why we're talking about these 3 sectors, these 3 spaces rather in particular, these 3 regions. First of all, now Telangana has announced a farm waiver, which means that they've approved a farm loan waiver of up to 2 lakh for farmers that have taken this loan, and cost of the loan waiver has been quoted to be roughly around 31,000 crores. It's a very clearly populist measure coming in by the new government in Telangana. Now, reports are indicating that Jharkhand is also mulling to do something similar. Remember, Jharkhand already has a loan waiver of 40,000 rupees in place. They're mulling to hike that to 2 lakh rupees. What's the impact of a move like this? Now, sentimentally, it is negative for the entire lending sector. The waivers impact basic financial discipline and also discourage genuine borrowers to repay their loans. Let's talk about what the exposure of the lending sector is looking like when it comes to all of these agri borrowings. First up, total scheduled commercial banks had an agricultural exposure of 1.1 lakh crore in Telangana and roughly 13,000 odd crore rupees in Jharkhand. PSU banks, they contribute 81% to Telangana and 60% to Jharkhand. So quite the exposure coming in for both scheduled commercial banks as well as PSU banks. Let's also talk about what the microfinance impact here is going to be. But before we talk about that, let's bring into picture another state other than Telangana and Jharkhand, and that is Maharashtra. Now remember, when populist measures like this are seen across the country, it is only normal that farmers of Maharashtra are also going to demand for something like this, given Maharashtra is heading into elections later this year. So MFI exposure to Maharashtra is higher compared to Jharkhand as well as Telangana at 8 to 10% of AUM, and this is latest figures as of March 2024. The MFI exposure in Telangana is minuscule at 0.7% of the total outstanding loan book, and the microfinance exposure in Jharkhand is as low as 3% of the total outstanding loan book, which means you have your commercial banks and PSUs that have more exposure towards Jharkhand and Telangana, but it is the microfinance institutes that have more exposure when it comes to Maharashtra, and this news flow of a potential farm loan waiver could further put these stocks under pressure, Priyanka.
All right, so this entire area is under the focus. Let's see how developments pan out. We pick up from exclusives from sources that Finance Ministry has submitted its comments on RBI's draft project financing norms. Select PSU banks have also submitted their responses in the matter. Let's go across Prakash for the exclusive details on this. Prakash, over to you.
Yes, we are learning from our sources that the Finance Ministry has submitted comments to the RBI on draft project financing norms. We are given to understand that the Department of Financial Services under Ministry of Finance has sent their suggestions to the RBI after wider consultation. Along with that, the sources are also informing that some public sector banks such as SBI, PNB, IOB and UCO Bank have also submitted their comments. Along with that, some financial institutions like IFCL has also sent their suggestions to the RBI on a draft project financing norms. Along with that, the sources are also informing that the Department of Financial Services has urged RBI to distinguish between public sector and private sector infrastructure projects. In fact, it is in favor of treatment of these projects based on its nature. However, DFS supports RBI's efforts to mitigate the risk factor involved in these infrastructure projects, and it can hold separate meeting with the RBI at later stage. As you are aware that the RBI had issued draft project financing norms which requires to have at least 5% provisioning of total funded amount by lenders, and the stakeholders were supposed to submit their comments by June 15.
All right, Prakash, thanks for taking us through all of those exclusive details. We'll see how that story develops on that front. But moving on then, Gaurav already joined us once to talk to us about Ujjivan. And Gaurav, you spoke to us about why that stock was under pressure, but also take us through all the other stocks that were big buzzers in today's trading session.
Well, yes. Let's first talk about Sangvi Movers, because this company got 2 orders worth 180 crore rupees, and the key highlight is that these orders are executable in FY25 only, and on back of this news we saw this stock traded in green today. Next, let's talk about Garden Reach Shipbuilders, because this company also got an order for construction of cargo ship from a German company, and this is for a consideration of $54 million, and we saw this stock also increased almost by 10% in share price today. Next, let's talk about TBO Tech, because Goldman Sachs initiated with buy rating sitting at a target price of 1,970 rupees on this company. What they believe is that from here on we may see revenue increasing almost with a CAGR of 22%, and apart from that there are positive tailwinds for the company, like company has strong track record, company also has negative working capital which shows a strong FCF, and lastly company also have low competition. And if you look at the stock performance also, it increased almost more than 5% today. Next, let's talk about Century Textile, because Birla Estate, which is wholly owned subsidiary of the company, acquired 16.5 acres of land in Pune, and the revenue potential from this land is going to be around 2,500 crore rupees. And on back of this news, we saw this stock also traded in green today. Next, let's talk about Hero Motors, because this company is going to take price hike in all its products, and this price hike is going to be somewhere around 1,500 rupees. And on back of this news, we will be watching out for Hero Motors as well. And lastly, let's talk about United Spirits, because Karnataka state government has notified fresh slabs for calculation of the additional excise duty, and they have actually reduced the number of slabs from 18 to 16. And if you look at the analyst estimates, they believe that this can actually impact as an indirect price increase of around 12 to 13% in the product. And on back of this news, the companies which are going to be benefited are United Spirits and Radico Khaitan. We already saw United Spirits increase more than 10%. So definitely watching out on these stocks in coming days as well as how they perform for investors.
All right, thanks very much, Gaurav, for the entire compilation of the stocks that were buzzing in trade today. Well, that's all in this edition of News Bulletin, but more to come from the global front, and of course, a lot of action coming in from the telecom space. All eyes on there, board meetings of big companies out there. So let's see how things develop on that front. Thanks so much for watching.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.